As you've all known, calculators have been a big help for us, especially during a math test. It knows how to add, subtract, divide, multiply. You get the idea. But right now, let's focus on the bigger picture. Let's talk about how calculators have caused us to be lazy. Right now, try to multiply 13 and 14 together without using a calculator. It took you a bit of time to get the answer, or you didn't get an answer at all. We have become so independent on calculators that we have become lazy to do math problems in our heads. By the end of this, I hope to inform you guys about calculators causing students and teachers to be lazy. To start off, I'll be telling you guys how we were before calculators were introduced. Then I'll be explaining the relationship between students and a calculator. Then I'll also explain how the teachers are affected by the calculators. Finally, I will tell you the overall laziness it has caused outside of the classroom, such as in jobs. Now let's take a look at the past. Calculators haven't always been here. All math problems were solved on a piece of paper or in our heads. One example is in the scene in the film Stand and Delivered by Ramon Menendez and produced by the Warner Brothers. Stand and Delivered is about a group of seniors going from basic algebra to learning AP calculus. They have to learn the knowledge they were given, or the stuff they were given, and solve on a piece of paper. In the scene, the gigolo problem is showing the students trying to solve how many gigolos, how many girlfriends they have. Well, even though they don't have a calculator, so they have to solve all by paper and the knowledge they have. Even though some of them were getting the problem wrong, they were still showing their work and trying to get a better understanding. So finally, when somebody did get the answer, they understood what they were doing wrong. Which leads to elementary students didn't use calculators. Remember whenever you were in 5th grade, you had to solve basic math on a piece of paper or use the fingers trick? Then all of a sudden, you got it and it's like you didn't need any help anymore. Well, in the article, Calculators Using the Western Australian Primary Schools by Lynn Sparrow and Paul Swan. It's a research survey in 1997 asking the teachers about the use of calculators and when they should be introduced. One teacher's response in the survey was, until there's a understanding of the process, I don't believe calculators should be used. And that teacher has a point. If we don't understand the process of basic math, we won't understand the process of the advanced math, like high school math or college courses. And with the calculator being in the way, we just become independent on it. Even in the STAR, or the State of Texas Assessment of Academic Readiness, it has a calculator policy. It limits to a certain grade who can use calculators and which can't. For example, grade 8, mathematics, science, algebra 1, algebra 2, and biology can only use calculators. And that point is to get us ready for academics, for more advanced math. But now let's take a look at the relationship students have with calculators. Now that the calculators are brought into the students' life, the students think it's the best thing in the world, when it's not. In the article, Why Math Students Shouldn't Be Allowed to Use Calculators by Marlon Sarvant, another writer, Bob Miller, within the article, told Sullivan about the usage of calculators. He wrote, when these students touch the button of a calculator, they stop thinking. And that's true. Whenever you're doing a math problem, your focus goes back and forth. You're trying to type, and then you're trying to look at the problem, and you can't double task. It's hard. And you know you're going to mess up somewhere. But whenever you're writing it down on a piece of paper and you're knowing what you're doing, it helps. But becoming independent on these calculators doesn't, and you just lose more focus. Which leads into the next idea. It also is a problem for teachers. When a teacher allows students to use the calculators, students just cheat. Students can put formulas into the calculator. For example, the quadratic formula. It's a long formula to find x. So students have to process what they're learning. But some students don't. They just put in their calculators and cheat on tests or homework. And that's just causing the teachers to do nothing. Because some of them allow students to be dependent on them. Even Miller, in the article I mentioned above, or said it earlier, said calculators make teachers lazy and worse teacher than they should be because they don't have to make sure the problem has numbers to assure the students learn the skill intended, which is true. And the overall calculators have caused laziness in every situation. Say you're working in a construction area and you have to find the area of a board. But you can't because you don't know how to multiply or do basic math because you're so dependent on the calculator. That doesn't help. In the article made in 2009, Architect and Conceptual Through Mathematics by Dreambox Learn, a website for mathematics, explained the different types of math used in a job like construction. And it's pretty much subjects that you don't use a calculator in. But you need to understand the basics of it. In conclusion, we have done math problems easily before we were introduced to a calculator. Now that we've gotten older, we just became independent because we believe it's easier. It just made us lazier. We think because we have a calculator, we don't have to add or subtract anymore. But it affects how our future jobs and how we're going to teach our own kids. We need to stop being so independent on these devices and gain the basic knowledge of math. So next time you see a math problem, try not to use a calculator. Try doing it in your head or on a piece of paper. It'll help you stop being so independent on these